Hello, and welcome back to the Elevate Your Best podcast. My name is Michael Danklefs. Today, we are going to talk about purpose. It's a word that's used all over the place, and we want to dig into this. This is a really deep subject, so we're going to be just taking a couple of layers off the top at this point. Really, why it's important, ways to get there, and what happens when you aren't living on purpose. So why is this important? The thoughts for me around this is, at least for me, whenever I hadn't really refined and discovered what my purpose is, because I personally don't think it's something that we make up. It's not something that we just pull out of thin air. It's something that we discover about ourselves. Tends to be something that shows up in our interactions, especially in those peak moments of our life. It's actually peak pleasure or peak pain. That to me is whenever purpose tends to show up. We look at Simon Sinek, start with why. It's very similar. Purpose and why are very closely related for me. Some is what is it that you're going to be doing, and then the why is then the reason behind it. And how this is relevant is when you're 3 or 4 years old, your purpose is to have fun. That's about it. It's to grow and learn. And many times we lose track of that because of our experiences, because of our life circumstances, because the trials and tribulations that we go through. So it can be a challenge then to get back to that newness, that openness that's possible whenever we have a destination, a goal, a purpose, a reason that we are specifically designed, specifically adjusted to, that we have the right tools to do the job. So let's go a little deeper than that. Even
Before you move forward, I wanted to mention something. Like you mentioned, Michael, that purpose is not something that we make up. And I have listened to other people talking about that, like Vishen Lakiani says purpose chooses you. Purpose chooses you, and things like that. I do believe that it is something that it's like life chooses our purpose. Yet, I do feel that there is a misconception there that people will have a calling, like a divine intervention, and a light will come down from the sky, and someone will tell you that you have to retrieve an artifact that is buried underground, and that will be a purpose of life to get this artifact known. And it's the way I see as those fantastic things that we always see. Oh, like, for example, those superpowers that I mentioned so much lately. We tend to imagine that there is this fantastic manifestation of like mind-bending reality, for example, when it's actually something much more simple. It's things that we can understand. It's not just common knowledge. And the purpose thing is like that because it's your experiences, the things that you lived in life, the challenges that you had to overcome that will choose you. Those are the things that make you be chosen. Because if I had to overcome lots and lots of challenges in communication, I might actually develop my communication in a conscious level to be aware of what I had to change. I might have missed the point there, but do you remember exactly where I was, Michael? No? No?
So this idea that our purpose finds us, sometimes we do find it in that circumstance, yes. And your purpose, at least for me, isn't always just a grand scheme purpose thing, that this is the purpose for my entire life. Eventually, people will get there. I know, like for you, Bruno, you've defined what your purpose is: qualifying marginalized people for better opportunities. That's what you've come to at this point. And at some point, there's going to be something that may be your lifelong journey, that may be your lifelong purpose. It might be for the next 10 years, the next 20 years. So that's why it's this discovering process. It's a matter of determining in this moment, how can I be of service? How can I contribute around me? How can I be in a space where I can be a lesson for other people? Sometimes good, sometimes bad. And how can I be in that space? So I very much get that idea of that. It doesn't necessarily need to be that I'm going to be the first person to put my foot on Mars. It doesn't need to be that grand of a thing. It can be, if that's really what you feel called or driven, or if every waking moment in extreme situations or not, that's you visualize yourself, you see yourself standing on Mars.
And if we have the project to go to Mars, we need someone that feels the purpose to be the first one to put this step there, to step there. Just to wrap up that other thing, it's if you had lots and lots of challenge with communication while you were developing yourself in your teenagers, in your early young adult years, you might develop a level of consciousness on exactly what you were doing wrong, how to fix that, how to improve on it, that it will be useful for you. Your purpose, it would be useful to other people talk about this with you. And your purpose might be related to facilitating communication. Because people that grew in an environment with peers that just had this good communication, they didn't have much challenges on that. They might be excellent communicators and they might put forward incredible projects. But when someone that is not so good in communication gets them and asks, how do you do that? How is this so intuitive to you? They might just say, I just do it. And then it enters into that words that we need to be careful to use, because when something's obvious to you, doesn't mean it's obvious to other people. And when we just say, oh, just do it, just feel comfortable, just talk to people, just connect, those people that have a hard time and don't see the steps towards getting there, they might feel undermined, or is that a good word, Michael?
They may
Yeah.
feel undervalued, certainly, for that. So
Yeah,
and
the emotional charge that comes with the words that we use.
and I've also heard similar terms used for this, like your strength, where the Clifton Strengths talks about where you have a passion for it and you have an ability for it, and those then lead to a strength, and that can also fall into this space of your purpose. But it is refining, as you said, when you've gone through a situation, you've come out on the other side with a skill that you've learned, it can certainly have an impact that it's based on the adversity that you've experienced, that it's now time to practice that skill in a new place. So I absolutely think that is a possibility here. And that's when it is a kind of a situational thing. It is that in this environment, I use this over here, and I can now apply that over there. We talk about the customer service skills that I've learned in the IT field. Listening for what really is the problem has then lend itself into what I'm doing for coaching, because I'm listening to the words that are said, as well as listening to the words underneath what they've said. So my purpose is to help people find solutions to problems. That could be what I've determined what it is, and it could be digital and mechanical and electrical, or it could be life, and it could be the way that we relate to our barriers in our own areas where we want to grow. But then determining what is that layer underneath, what's the commonality between those things. So when you talked about superpowers, for me, I learned to, as in my late teens and early 20s, learned how to take anything that anybody said and make it naughty, make it dirty. There's a skill underneath that. It's being able to reframe something in a different perspective. So that is actually kind of part of the fabric of who I've become, is learning how to reframe something from a different perspective, from this is a barrier to this is an opportunity, or the world did this to me, to these are the choices I made that led me to that. So each of those is certainly, that kind of has helped me discover what my purpose is. And whenever I tell people, they're like, okay, I get it. So for me, I've distilled it down to this point of shining light into the dark corners to inspire trust and self-love. And that means something specific to me. If I help bring those things out in other people, they need to celebrate because they've forgotten that's the amazing person that they are, or it's time to clean it up because it's not serving you anymore. And both are places to be. And each of us needs to find what that is. And I had help getting there. I had someone actually helping me discover what that was and asking me questions so I could come to my own conclusion. So this may not necessarily be something that you solely find while you're in meditation. It may actually be something that you discover in an environment where there are people who are challenging you to find that.
You mentioned my purpose as well before, Michael, qualifying marginalized people for better opportunities. And that is something like that relates very well with what we spoke before of purpose fighting you, which is what it was a journey for me to discover this purpose. But because I was so emotionally engaged with it, I do feel marginalized. I do feel without access to move. I wanted to get to know the world, connect with people, and it's very hard. The digital world is helping me with that, and it's allowing me to travel, and actually not exactly travel, but and will allow me to travel in the future and not be stuck here. But I am very much at the moment, I was feeling stuck a lot of the time, and not having access to an easy access to opportunities in my culture, and now the segregation that there is here. So I realize you helped me realize it was even in our conversations. I have great development towards that. And one of the key moments I like to remember is when we were on a call and you asked me, Bruno, if you didn't had money, you started, somebody asked me this before, but you went a little bit deeper, but you started like that. If you didn't have money today, what you would be doing? And my answer was, I already don't have money today, and I am already trying to qualify people, but I was trying, right? I was not aware that I was already doing. And then in that conversation, you made me all the questions, and then that helped me realize that I already do all those things I want to do. I already talk about businesses. I already build a vision. I already make plans. I already recruit people. I already see how those opportunities can fit them. I am already willing to help people in the endeavors that they are already taking. I help people see the projects that they can do. I have friends that can do incredible projects, Michael, and they don't realize it. Projects that they can do now, that they have everything that it's required to do right now, and they just don't see or don't believe it. So I'm already doing that. So I identified my purpose because my life led me, the experiences that I had in my life led me into doing this thing and feel joyful while I'm doing it and feel engaged and motivated. And those things, they don't actually take energy from me, they don't drain the energy, they actually help me transform the energy that I have and acquire more energy to do more things. It's a journey. It depends on the experiences that you had in life, but you feel like your purpose chooses you, but it's actually a mission that you accept. It's a mission in life that you can do or you can develop yourself to do, and you accept. And I would like to ask you, Michael, because I get excited and I spoke a lot. How do you see the stages? Like I see everything like a journey, and we look at moments in the journey. What is the moment where the person starts to question themselves about the purpose? What are the possible moments that we can discuss here? I know that there are more, where the person feels, okay, what is my purpose? They start to making this question.
So a lot of it comes from, we've talked about this in the past too, is there's those Kensho versus Satori moments. Sometimes it's whenever it's everything around me is draining my energy. So I definitely want to highlight that part of what you said, is that when we're working on our purpose is when it comes with ease. We feel energized by doing it. It's that those things that actually we gain more momentum as we're heading towards it. And many times whenever we shift to this, tends to be whenever we are in a space where, at least for me, when I wasn't happy with where I was at, that there was enough pain in what I was doing and I wasn't getting the results in my life that I wanted, that I went out to seek, what is this? How can I discover this? And be in environments where this was something that was challenged. It's okay. So what are you doing with your life? Maybe not to that degree, but for me, it was at the end of a relationship. I was married for 6.5 years and got divorced, and then my world shifted. For me, it was in that transition phase of, okay, now what am I going to do? My family went from 7 to 2 with me and my daughter. And at that point, it's okay, I've got this time and energy, and I can use that for wallowing and get stuck in my emotional stuff, or I can put my big boy pants on and go out and take on the world. And what does that look like? So that's where the transition was for me. And then I went out seeking. For me, it was getting out in nature. It was hiking and biking and kayaking and things like that, that I connected with the world around me, and the people that I was doing that with But secondarily, then it was in a team of people where that was what it was about. It's about inspiring people to do great things in their lives and then determine what is the reason why you want to do that. So the men's team for me was the tool, was the leverage point that then allowed me to dig down deep. And in the process of unfolding that, I also then got exposed to things like Mind Valley, like Lifebook, like Rich Litvin and some of the other authors that I follow, and the books that I read, and this cascade of things that happen afterwards that then open up this whole new world. That's how the process was for me. And if you look at something like the hero's journey, when you actually get called to adventure, is what they talk about in the hero's handbook, is, and we'll actually link to that book in the show notes here. They very much talk about this hero's journey when things are just how in the norm, and then you get an insight of how things can be better, then you resist, and then you're forced into going on a journey to determine the answer to the question, to solve that problem. And then it moves into insight and becomes into an awareness as you're moving through the different phases. And eventually you go out and you do that thing that is abnormal for the people around you. And that's also part of your journey. And then as you're coming back, you're bringing that knowledge, that wisdom that you've actually gained while you've gone out and gone research, gone adventuring, gone and had that experience, and bring that wisdom back to your community, your culture, your tribe, your people. And the tough part is that you've gone out and grabbed some of this information, this knowledge, and made it your own. And that's where the purpose comes in, is why did you go out there and do this? What was that call to adventure? What triggered in you that I'm ready to go out and learn and grow and discover this? And it can be something that triggers differently each time. So that's how it unfolded for me. And as I'm retroactively going now and looking back, it's okay, that's where I hit all of these stages and then learned and discovered. And then now I'm in the phase at this point. And some reasons why we're doing this podcast is I want to bring some of the things that I've learned back to the community so that they can learn for themselves. What really got you to the point where you had to discover what your purpose was?
That was an interesting point for me when I got to discover what my purpose was. Okay. The thing is, I was doing the Master Authentic Networking class, and something that called my attention at this moment in my life was how I was aware of the things they were discussing there. It was my first quest on Mind Valley. For those of you that do not know, the Mastering Authentic Networking quest is a Mind Valley quest. Let me see here if we can link to the quest. And while I was doing the quest, I was like, oh, I already heard about this. I know these things. I was just not acting on them. And I decided to take action, start taking action. And when Keith Urazi, which was the author, said, do connect with the people, I was going there and connecting with the people. Reach out to someone on the tribe. I reached out. Schedule a meeting with them and see how you can help. I scheduled a meeting and saw how I could help. And one of the things, the first thing that he tells us to do was set your MTP. I didn't got the bonus, the introduction was my first class. I didn't knew, and I didn't saw that. But then I introduced myself to the tribe, and I thought like the first paragraph of my introduction was, and I have a project to qualify people for marginalized people for better opportunities. And then I saw people talking about this MTP, which means massive transformative purpose. And I was like, what is this? And then I realized that there was an introduction with 3 videos, and I went there and he was talking about your MTP. And it blew my mind because, as I was saying before, I already knew some things there. I was just not acting on them, taking action. And in my introduction, I already had put there, I have a project to qualify marginalized people for better opportunities. And upon reflecting on that, I realized that all my projects, they had this characteristic to them. I wanted to build a lean business that was scalable, didn't require much investment, because I wanted to teach other people how to do the same, whatever they wanted to do. And I wanted to give the structure for them to do it because I didn't have those things. So I wanted to provide for the community to have those things. And I do think that it is a crime for us as society to have people that are marginalizing our, there are people that live in circumstances that is just unacceptable, considering the resources that we have and how we could reorganize those resources for those people to go through life, because we just go through life once, and for them to go into the circumstances that they do, which is of desperation and suffering. Nobody on earth should accept that. And we should not rest until this problem is solved. Because I lived this problem in firsthand and I still live it today, that is, it's why purpose chooses you. It's not a moment I can't, sorry for the ranting, Michael, but it's not a moment that I can identify. It's a life that took me into the moment that I got aware, and this moment that I was talking on the quest, that was the moment that I got aware, that I got conscious. The information was already there. I already have it inside of me, but I wasn't conscious about it because I didn't exercise my consciousness, my mindfulness about it. But the moment that I was aware that I could, and it compounds with the moment that you said, ask me those questions, and I realized that I was already taking action on this. The moment that I got aware that I could do it, that I could help qualify people that are marginalized for better opportunities, for them to live a better life, and that I could be myself included into this journey, this process, it's just something that there is nothing else for me to do. What am I going to be doing?
So number one, apologize for being passionate about your purpose,
Okay, thank you.
because that's a powerful place to come from. That is what purpose looks like right there. When someone actually gets riled up about it, is this is something that's important to me and this needs to change. That is, as in the Mastering Authentic Networking Quest, as well as the Habit of Ferocity, both talk about your massively transformational purpose. What's going to help change the world? That's a big one. That's a huge purpose. It is massive by its very nature. So I wouldn't ever I won't accept your apology. Got it?
Cool. Got it. Got it. Yeah.
And here's another thing that I want to make sure that I point out, just so we keep some of the rhythm of the tools we talk about, is I believe that the conversation that we were having when we did that was we were talking about the three most important questions. And there's another layer that you can add on to that idea, which is talked about in one of the other quests. And that is, if you had no money, how would you create that experience? How would you grow, and how would you contribute if you had everything taken away from you? How could you still have an experience, grow, and contribute? And then the flip side of that too is in the three most important questions is you've got these things that are those, yes, you're stretching because these are the experiences you want and how you can grow to get there and how you're going to contribute to the world once you've accomplished that, are fantastic things. The next layer is then what is your moonshot? Like when we talked about the person putting their feet on the moon or on Mars, comes from it's a book I believe that's called The Moonshot. They talk about it. Larry at Google very much talks about that on their huge goals. The moonshot being a goal that is so big that even the transformation as you're trying to accomplish it, as you're taking steps towards it, will be worth the effort you make, even if you don't accomplish the goal. It's so much of a stretch that who you become in the process of accomplishing it is valuable. So you can start here, is that if you are destitute, can you still create happiness in the world? Yes, with a smile, with a note. With nothing to your name, can you actually put a heart in the snow on the ground? Yes, you can. It's something that's available to you. Can you still grow with the amount of availability of information in the world right now? Are there libraries? Are there books? Are there places you can go in order to grow in your life and learn a skill? Yes. And can you contribute? Can you help someone with something that they need your help with by showing up? And yes. So each of those is a shift in our thinking that allows us then to say, okay, I'm in this spot right now. This is my purpose. Can I accomplish it? Yes, by taking one small step with the resources I have available right now. Because most of you who are watching this are probably not destitute, maybe close, maybe really far from it. But when we get down to that, if you were stripped of all of your titles, your things, and your currency and your money, could you still be of service? Could you still have amazing experiences? Could you still grow in your knowledge, your experience, and your skills? And can you contribute to the world? And that's where purpose plays in.
And this talk, Michael, this topic about how our goals transform us, it is extremely important because some of the goals that I have set for myself, they actually shaped a lot of who I am. They transformed me. Like they decided what were the traits that I had to develop in order to achieve them. Because if I wish to develop a $1 billion company, for example, there are some skills, some abilities that it will be required for me to develop, to cultivate in myself. Otherwise, I'm just not the person that has them. And here is a moment. It's always good when we share our experience. I was in network marketing, which is a great school. I do believe that network marketing is a great system of commission. I'm just sorry because the own distributors and the companies themselves, they work the system in a way that I don't think it's good because they make promises and things like that. We should not advertise those systems as a way to get rich. It's not the purpose. Just a handful of people get rich using those things, but there are incredible other benefits and they are good enough on their own. But here's the thing. I was reading the book written for the number one distributor of the company I was working with. And this was a guy that made in his network more than €1 million every month. So he was like on the top of the food chain, literally. And this company is huge. Forever Living Products, they have 50, they probably have 60 something years now. And they really do have an opportunity and good teams and good systems put together that actually help people to develop an income there. But here's the thing. I was reading this book and this guy, I was confident, Michael, that there I would find the answer for my questions because I had a lot of challenges. This was the beginning of my journey. And people, they all on the company, they all felt like I was going to have good results, but I wasn't having any results. And I was like, this book will have the answer. And then at the 3/4 of the book, I started reading a paragraph where he started describing exactly myself. If you are a person, and he started things like that, nobody goes to your birthday, things like that, that have challenges communicating with people. And he started describing situations of people that had a problem with communication, they didn't have good relationships and all that. And it was a big paragraph, like describing lots of traits, and I identified with all of them. And I was like, that's it. He's gonna give me the answer. He's gonna tell me exactly what I need to do to solve all the challenges and for me to have success in this business. And then the last phrase on that paragraph was, if you are like this business is not for you. And that was a big hit on me. I closed that book. I was on the bus going to an event, one of the few situations where I got out of my home state. And I got out 3 times, and it was like to go on a 12-hour trip to go to this event of this company and then travel immediately after 12-hour trip to come back. And I felt really bad. And the thing that I took from this moment is that after a while, after being mindful for a while, of course, I didn't know that I was exercising mindfulness. I decided with myself, okay, I can not be the person that will have success in this business. So I'll become the person. I will become the person. I understand that. I accept it. I'm not the person that will have success in life, in this business and everything. So I will become the person that has success. And because I decided that, the amount of skills and things that I learned, it is a goal that transformed me and it still transforms me to this day. So I really like what you said back then.
Right. And you fell into a space where this wasn't you right now. And it required you to see what was possible if you took action. And making the decision that you're going to take that action is a key. It's one of those flip over points. It's a leverage point of, okay, the build up and then, oh no, was a point of pain because you thought that this was going to be, here's the recipe. And instead you got shot down. And that's one of those spaces where you actually discovered a layer of your purpose is I need to now learn and build and grow. So that is not my identity anymore. That's the key piece of this is, and even your identity can, what you define as your identity could be a barrier to you embracing what your purpose is. You know, being that I am a white male in the United States, I could use that identity for leverage, or I could have that hold me back. That I'm a father, that I'm in IT, that any number of things that I define as who I am, I can allow those things to hold me back. Though through the right tools, using the right process, doing the right learning, building the right skills, I can stop assuming that's who I have to be. And I can then start the road to becoming the person that I want to be by intentionally making that choice. So that I applaud you for taking those steps to become the person that you wanted to be. Because it's that to me is where we unfold and discover, and it's that point of, what? That's not me. That can't be me because this is where I'm going. Is one of those places where those are the moments that I get fired up about in my coaching, is when somebody says, yeah, I've been saying that for so long, that doesn't have to be me. And that's time to celebrate of, no, it doesn't have to be you. You get an opportunity every single morning to decide what choices you're going to make, to live consciously and intentionally and actually take steps toward where you want to go, to pick up that burger or to pick up that salad or to pick up that candy bar. You can choose in each one of those moments which is going to be right for you in that moment. And each of those, we talked about this a few weeks ago too, was about the compound effect, is that those choices over time will compound into the results you're going to find later. And that too is something, I think the book is called The Compound Effect, and we're making a lot of book references here. It is, and a lot of what it talks about is that you, as you're making your progress, you are making progress and you're moving along, and sometimes then there's this dip before you actually break through. And I think that us being able to show what that graph looks like is that many times they talk a lot about in the compound effect of knowing when to quit is just as important as this idea of never quit. Is if you are on a path and sticking it out until you actually hit the bump and then you have the exponential growth, is knowing which path you're on. Are you actually falling off the cliff and you are never going to come back, or are you actually approaching the dip and then you're going to get exponential growth on the other side? You're going to see that in nutrition. You're going to see that in exercise. You're going to see that in skills that you're learning. You're going to, at least I've certainly seen each of those things, and those consistent choices every day to put $50 in your bank account once a month over time is going to build up, and you're going to see this compound effect over time. I was having a conversation about that just this morning, not at that scale, at a different scale, but it's when the best time to start planting a seed for a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. So making those choices every day allows you then to start realizing who you're becoming as you're living into your purpose, which is after that dip, because there is a dark side to that too. I know, especially in our culture right now, we want instant gratification. We'll hit the like button. We want to, we post something on whatever social media we're on, and we want instant gratification. If everybody loves it right now, that's not always how it works. And getting attached to that response being the reason why you're putting content out can be a downer for sure. So how do you, that's what I'm learning to do, is engage with people and share what I've learned up to this point, which is all that I know at this point, hoping that it's going to help other people. And that's what my goal is, regardless of the engagement. It's supposed to tell me how great I'm doing at this. Awesome. But my self-worth, my identity is not attached to how many likes or shares or comments that are attached to that. I want to be of service. I want to be out there helping others potentially bypass some of the tough challenges that I went through to discover what their purpose is, so they can take on the next challenge and they're not fighting the same wars. We're not actually making the same mistakes over and over again. We're instead making new mistakes, which is better.
Allows us to grow. I think that it greatly helps us define, Michael, the actions that we take daily. Just like you were saying right now, in other words, I like to repeat the same thing in other words, because then it increases our reach. More people might understand exactly what we want to convey, the idea that we wish to communicate. And we talked about journaling last week, and journaling is a great way for you to actually apply this compound effect in our lives, because when we journal, it's not just putting your thoughts there and ideas. Plan your journal in a way that it helps you take out friction from the things you want to do in your day. And it can do, if you do that in Notion, it can do, if you use a bullet journal, it can do, it can help you. And when you journal, you are being mindful about your purpose. You are exercising all those superpowers that we have, and you'll be more mindful. Like, what are some things that can help us to clarify our purpose and better do that? Because I do believe that when the person gets to the point where they start to ask themselves, what is my purpose? Why am I here? They are awakening. They are in a moment of awakening. They are coming from a place of unconsciousness to more conscious, to a place they are coming to a place of more consciousness. And when you compound all those things that we are doing here, that's why we mentioned so many past episodes. That's why our conversations sometimes repeat itself, because it's all connected, and it's a matter of learning how to put all that together in a way that fits your life, and use this to to get results, to be productive. So when you start journaling, you might actually use journaling to find your purpose, help you identify what are the things, exercise your consciousness and mindfulness in these moments. What are the things that when I do, I get more excited about? What are the things that drain my energy that I do in my day? And what are the things that when I engage with them, that actually feed my energy? Don't I have any moments that feed my energy? What is it that I can feel excited about, that I can bring into my routine? Experiment through your journal, through your mindfulness. What are the things that you might be more and more excited about? And then you will develop your consciousness into finding your journal. Imagination as well, Michael. You need to exercise imagination in order to see what else can you identify with that is not already in your life today. And through those exercises, you can actually find, improve on your purpose, help you into this journey. I don't want to go too deep because I could mention a lot of things. Do you have any other two that could help people, Michael, into reaching, finding, and living their purpose?
And a lot of the things that I do to leverage that has a lot to do with first discovering it, which there's, like I said, for me, it was with the men's team. I refined it through the life book process, working with a coach, taking quests like Life Vision Mastery or Habit of Ferocity, or there's other courses out there, I'm sure. The book, Simon Sinek's Start With Why, to give you some of those tools and some of those exercises to find it. Though the next step is, now that you know it, what do you do with it? How do you get there? So that was the other half of your question. And goal setting tends to be one of those things. We've talked about some of those tools of visualization before with CPRAs or 40X or OKRs or the life book funnel of focus. There's several different ways where yes, this is the destination where I want to go. I want to be on Mars. Then I need to then break that 5 years as my goal for that. Then where do I need to be in a year in order to get there? And then break that down into, where do I need to be this quarter? Where do I need to be in a month? And doing that kind of breakdown so it's not as overwhelming. And the secondary thing is, in order to make this work so that you're making steps towards it, is having people around you that hold you accountable. Our self-accountability is okay, but having other people that you are committing to, because for whatever reason, many of us, when we commit externally, we're more likely to complete it than what we actually solely commit to ourselves. So those are the two things: is define it, break it down, or three things: define it, break it down, and then commit on a daily basis to taking steps towards it.
So just to sum up what you say, I hear like, oh, it's just like me. It's more moments. It's a compound effect of several moments that help us find our purpose, not a single moment. And use tools, use help, find support. Don't take any endeavor in your life, in our lives. We shouldn't take any endeavor alone. And we need to find support and get support. And one last thing to wrap up, because all that I was actually seeing this moment coming, and all that I think that how can we get transformed by that? I think that like in the 3MIQ, we go from experiences we wish to live, the growth that we need to acquire in order to live those experiences, and the last column is how are we going to contribute to the community when we achieve this growth and are living these experiences. So the last thing I want to say to wrap up is make your objectives. Remember that your goals transform you. Make your objectives, your goals bigger than yourself. Think how they can benefit the community and exercise this. It's all an exercise, our skills, abilities that we get to exercise, creating goals that are bigger than ourselves. Exercise creating goals that are bigger than ourselves, because our purpose, they affect much more than we imagine. When I decide to qualify people for more opportunities, I actually help my clients. I do realize that this is qualification as well. Lots of things. So make objectives bigger than yourself. You'll be surprised how your purpose will be applied in several areas of your life that you don't even imagine. And question your goals as well. Because what Michael said, when you question your goals, you understand it. Why do I want to achieve that? I question myself, why do I want to have so much money? And then I realize, because I do have some projects I wish to see through and they need funding. So question your goals. You will understand yourself better. We understand ourselves better when we can question our goals.
Yes. And when we have outside perspectives, if it's a accountability group, a mastermind, a coach, a friend who can actually find the blind spots in what you're actually putting out there, and this is your inner circle. This is the people who are supportive of you regardless. So they're coming from a place of, I care about you, and this is what I see as a possibility, and this is what I see as a barrier. They can help you through that, because as you said before, we don't do this alone. So having people who are supporting you through those bigger goals allows them to become a reality, and then taking action on it. Taking action is the key piece. That's how we build up that momentum on a slow and steady pace, one step at a time. That's how we get to the top of the mountain. So thank you everyone for joining us today for the Elevate Your Best podcast. We're talking about purpose today, and it's been a fantastic conversation. Thank you for talking through this.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Thank you guys for watching. If you are here so far, click the like button, click subscribe, leave a comment to us. Comments are very good. They help us share this content with someone and give us the energy for us to grow this channel and have more meaningful conversations like that.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.